live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game.
Come on!
Giants want to be able to win the series with a win tomorrow, but they got to win this one tonight to have that opportunity. And they're not making it easy here in the bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded, one out. Alex Call, the hitter. And he grounds one to short. Fitzgerald to second. That's one. Throw to first. Got him. Double play.
Dave Fleming on the call, NBC Sports Bay Area. Giants get one back. Blake Snell, no, it wasn't a no-hitter, but a quality start nonetheless. And he gets his second win as the Giants hang on 7-4, the final out in our nation's capital. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's the pregame show, Joe Spadoni. You got me for the next hour. What are we going to be talking about? We'll talk some Giants. We had a lot of Niners yesterday, and we're still on Ayuk watch. The report was from Andrew Filipponi of our sister station out in Pittsburgh. A host over there was a let me get it for sure. 93.7. I always get these ones wrong. It's all right, Andrew. I'll get the proper attribution here for the radio station that he works for. But Filipponi joined us. 93.7. I was right. Come on. 93.7. The Fan out in Pittsburgh joined Steiny and Guru yesterday. We're going to hear what he had to say in regards to Brandon Ayuk, because he thinks it's basically, you got to cross the T's, dot the I's. But other than that, Brandon Ayuk's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Well, that was around 9 o'clock Pacific time yesterday. It's now 5:02 a.m. the next day. Ayuk's still a 49er. And I haven't seen anything else to change that. So we're still on Ayuk watch. Will he stay? Will he go? Will the Niners end up just keeping him if they don't feel like they are getting proper return on investment from the Pittsburgh Steelers or any other team that joins in the conversation? 888-957-9570. That's the number to call or text. I would love your contributions to the show. You can also hit me up via Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Give me a follow at Spadoni_Joe on Twitter. And yes, that's all powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Hit me up. Hey, I'm an open book, man. Slide into my DMs. All right? I don't mind. I don't. I was a little nervous yesterday, I'm not going to lie. I thought the Giants were going to blow that, and that was going to be the worst loss of the season. Again, they've had a couple worst losses of the season, but that's what it was shaping up to be. Go from potentially winning a series to losing one and losing ground, because within your own division, it just feels like the Padres and D-backs. I mean, those two, are they going to lose? Both won 4 in a row. They're both 8-2 in their last 10. They're both at the top 2 spots in the wild card. And the Giants, back at 500 now, 3.5 back from the final wild card spot. Why? Because the Braves are just not good. They've lost 4 in a row. They're 60-53. And now the Mets are just a half game back of them, followed by the Cardinals 2 back, and again, the Giants 3.5 back. So it's not over, folks. It's not. That final wild card is just going to have teams hanging on, thinking they can clinch something potentially late and salvage the season. And for Farhan Zaidi, boy, did he need that. Because if he didn't have this third wild card spot, he would have been gone a long time ago. But as this season has played out, it does feel like the future of Farhan Zaidi, at least to me, I could be wrong. It does feel like his future is secure for at least one more season. Because they're going to be competitive down the stretch. They're going to be hanging around that wild card, and they may just miss out. Just miss out. But hey, look at the acquisitions I made. Blake Snell turned out to be pretty good. Robbie Ray looked pretty good. Matt Chapman, another home run. He's looked good. Elliot Ramos, I'm going to take credit for that. All-star. Back-to-back games with the Jack. He's looked great. Birdsong, for the most part, has been looked pretty good. So, I understand there's a lot of Giants fans that are tired of it, and they feel like his job is tied to making the playoffs. I don't see it. and this show's not going to be all Farhan related. I just had that thought watching the game yesterday, being like, I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't. And by the way, for the best Giants talk outside of yours truly, of course, but you got Sam Lubin and Joe Shasky doing the Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys pod. Find it anywhere you find your podcasts. It is an Odyssey podcast as well, so download the Odyssey app. It is free. You can find it there, plus thousands of other stations. The Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys pod. New episode out sometime this week. We'll see. I'm not going to make any promises. We'll let Sam and Joe Shasky figure that out. But the Giants right now, they're back at 500. Can they just break through here? Can they just go on a little run and get a couple games over? Is that asking too much from the San Francisco Giants? Well, they have the opportunity to take the series today. Just take it, 3 of 4. It's early. It was a 9 o'clock our time. This is an early start. It's 12 o'clock over on the East Coast. Because you got the Tigers coming up. They stink. You got the reeling Braves coming up. And then you got the final Bay Bridge series. Yeah, you got that weird Friday off next week. Very odd. And I don't like that. Why can't they just go back to the 3 games? It's all right. I don't like those 2-game sets when it's supposed to be the rivalry games. It just kind of cheapens it. And then after the A's got the White Sox, starting a new streak. Oh, yeah. Come on. Big win yesterday for the Oakland A's. Burying the lead. Let's go. 3-2 the final. Or not. They just weren't losing the series to the White Sox. We'll give them one. They wanted to make them feel good. Outside of that, back to reality. I just know the Giants fans are probably happy. It's like every team that was going to play the White Sox prior to that, or I should say, after the A's, we're just hoping the A's would probably just lose one of those games because you don't want to be the team that loses to the streak. Like it's a horrible losing streak, and then the one team, like the White Sox, beats you. It's just... Now the A's already stink, so it's fine. But like a team like the Giants, that would have been horrible. A team like the Braves, like, come on. That can't happen. But the A's take care of business yesterday. I always shout them out after a win. Cool in the gang. Why not? We only got a couple more months of it anyways, because I doubt they will be playing that in Sacramento. Good luck out there in that heat and that turf. Ugh, boy, not looking forward to that. But I am looking forward to see how this Giants season is going to unfold. Because I would be lying if I didn't say I was a little bit intrigued by the prospect of this team sneaking into the playoffs and having Snell, Webb, and Ray. That is interesting to me. What do the Giants hang their hat on organizationally since 2010? Pitching, defense, timely hitting. Well, the pitching, at least starting wise, is top heavy with this team. Birdsong, Harrison, still unproven yet. They're young. I think it's unfair to expect them to look like Webb and Snell. Their arms just don't have that workload. But I've been impressed with them nonetheless. But I'm looking at those top 3 guys. If I have those guys firing on all cylinders, Webb, Snell, and Ray, am I crazy to say I don't hate their chances in a given playoff series? Now, again, what did Billy Bean like to say? It's a crapshoot when you get in the playoffs. His S doesn't work in the playoffs. Well, it worked for the Giants a couple years. God, that was 10 years ago. Yikes. 10 years ago. We're coming up on that anniversary a couple months here. That 2014 World Series team. Time freaking flies, man. That's scary. But why not if they get in there? Why not? Hey, crazier things have happened. And I'm not here. Listen, it's August 8th. Am I saying this team's going to go win the whole World Series? Am I going to bet on that? No. I'm saying if they eke in and they're only 3.5 games back right now, would it be the craziest thing I've ever heard? No. Baseball it's not football. It's not basketball. It's kind of more like hockey, but even hockey, the top teams like the Florida Panthers this year, right? They were legit all year. They just made the Stanley Cup final the year prior. Lost to the Vegas Knights. And then they were the best team through most of the regular season, and they were the best team in the playoffs, and they won. But for baseball, we see it time in and time out. The Texas Rangers were not the best team in baseball last year. They weren't even the best team in their own division. I'd have taken the Astros. The Arizona Diamondbacks were not the best team in the National League in their own division. It was the Dodgers for most of the season. What happened? They got hot, got timely hitting, got the pitching, and there you go. All I'm saying is this. I am not ready to bury this team just yet. I think a lot of Giants fans have buried them out of their mind right now because they just don't want to get hurt. They just don't like the product at times. They're frustrated. But I think all your frustrations would go away if this team did get into playoffs. Let's say they won a playoff series. Oh, but that means Farhan's comes out. Well, you got to give the guy credit then at least some point. If you get into the playoffs and you win a series, like as much as you don't like a guy, you have to give credit where credit is due. And then you're just at that point just wanting to be right, which I understand. Trust me, I am married. I like to be right. And I'm never allowed to be right. You'll learn that, Sam, if and when you get married. You're not allowed to be right. You just say, oh, yeah, you were right, honey. You were right. That's just what you're going to be saying the rest of your life. Not that I warned you about this certain thing.
Possibly.
It's all right. Thanks, Kyle. I don't know. I'm intrigued by the Giants. Fight me. Is that a horrible thing to say? I'm intrigued by this team and what they could possibly do in the playoffs. They're 25-35 on the road. They're not a great road team. Yes, they'll probably have to go on the road because they're going to be a third wildcard spot. Yes, they're still the fourth best team in their own division. But you know what? The NL West might just be the best division. It might be up there. I'm looking at it right now. I'm going to pull up all the division standings right now. All right. AL East, very good. That's probably at the top of most people's lists. You got Baltimore and the Yankees, both 21 games over 500. You got the Red Sox, 9 games over, and then you got the Rays at 57 and 56. So AL East probably. Now the Blue Jays are done, and the Rockies are crap, but the Blue Jays are better than the Rockies. So I'd give it to the AL East, but if we're just going the top 4 teams, like it's the AL East and then who? I think I'm going to the NL West. As I'm looking through it right now, you got the NL Central. Everyone's kind of muddled up there. The quality, sure, but the top 4 teams of Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Padres, Giants, I think NL West is right up there. And again, if you make the playoffs in a stacked division, and there's a possibility that 4 teams in the National League West make it, that's pretty unbelievable. And you got to give Farhan credit for that. As much as I know we don't like to say that it would be quite an accomplishment. You were the 4th best team in your own division, but you made the playoffs. That be the first team ever to say that? It has to be, right? I don't think, no. It's unbelievable. By the way, I mentioned the Orioles on top. Jackson Holiday. Yeah. Remember when we were talking about that the other week? We would trade for Jackson Holiday if he was available. That seems silly. I don't think he was ever available. That seems.
I think it was Snell for Holiday, straight up.
That's what it was. That's not happening.
I think I would say yes to that. I don't know if the Orioles would.
Yeah, that's tough. But hey, what have you done for me lately, though? Right? The Snell's looked great for the Giants through no-hitter. Jackson Holiday's looked great for the Orioles, and they're both playing great. Both black and orange. There you go. Something about the orange and black season heading into fall, Sammy. Am I right?
We'll see how Jackson Holiday helps him on the mound in the World Series if the Orioles get that far.
Shut up.
There you go.
I just wanted to play that. That might be when I'm taking you behind the scenes real quick. I was out last week. It was a little vacay. I do get excited when I come back and see all the new drops that I missed out. I do. I don't have FOMO over it. Like, I'm not one of those people. Like, there's hosts here. It's like I'm fiending to get back on. Now, I was in the thread probably a lot more than I should have been, but that's because I was just chilling and just sitting back and relaxing. I was just on my phone. That's fine. I'm chilling. I'm like Kevin Durant. I like being on my phone sometimes. Sue me. But that one that I came back and I just saw on my board, it just says Fleming, shut up, and I played it.
Shut up.
It's just so dismissive and it's just so funny. Dave Fleming, by the way, joining the Morning Roast today. So
7:20.
7:20. Okay, early today, because that's right. They have the early start today. So 7:20 for David B. Fleming, NBC Sports Bay Area, and our 95.7 The Game Giants Insider. Cannot wait for that. I wonder how he feels about this team's chances. Hey, I'm sure he's bullish. Listen, Dave doesn't sugarcoat things. He's not going to be a Joe Lake. He's not going to do a sugarcoat job. All right, that's just not what he does. Now scrambling for that one. That's another all-time sugarcoat job. It's all right. I'll find it later. But he's been a little peeved by this team at times, and you could hear it in his voice there. I don't know what that was in reference to, but you could hear the urgency in his voice. And I don't think a lot of the time the Giants have kind of felt that urgency throughout this season, but I am kind of feeling it as of late. I'm feeling this team find something. I'm feeling this team kind of have an identity. For the first time in a long time, this team has an identity. They got great pitching right now, and they're hitting the long ball. Now, how sustainable is it? Can Tyler Fitzgerald continue to look like Barry Bonds? I don't know how sustainable that is, but he's looked good, and he's a young guy that you can be excited about right now. Elliot Ramos looks like the real deal. Looks like he belongs in baseball at a very high level. Could be a multi-time All-Star. Chapman looks like Chapman. This is what you signed up for. This is what you're hoping for. He's going to have at least 20 bombs. Does he have 20 bombs already? Is that his 20th? Let me check, Matt. Chapman.
I think he's at 18.
18. He's really close, right? So he's probably going to get to 20. And he's at 19 right now. There we go. He had one yesterday. So that's what you want, right? That's what you want from Matt Chapman. Hey, if he can get me 20 home runs, that's great. That's all you're looking for. And you know what you're going to get defensively from him. Plus glove. You're going to get a leader out there. Lead by example. That's great. Jorge Soler didn't work out. Got your losses. See you later. It didn't work. Conforto has looked good. Now, is he going to be part of the future? No. But he's been playing well. Got to give him credit there. Mikey Stremski, I saw Bonte tweet this last night. Get off his back. He's been good. So, I say all that to say, I'm cautiously optimistic about the San Francisco Giants. All right. You know what I'm not cautiously optimistic about right now?
I'm not optimistic.
Brandon Ayuk staying in San Francisco. That's not what I'm not. I love BP.
I'm not optimistic.
Thank you. By the way, they're showing a rerun in here. I'm doing hashtag squirrel because it's 5:18 a.m. and good morning to all of you just getting off work, getting ready for work, getting ready for the new school year. Hope all of you are settling in. If you're in college, if you're getting up early classes, whatever. I don't think anyone has 5 a.m. classes. That's ludicrous unless you're doing an online course elsewhere. I got table tennis on in here. This is a rerun, so I'm not going to spoil it, but we got China versus France in table tennis. What kind of serve is it? I'm not going to do the play-by-play, but this stuff is intense, man. Like, there's certain sports that you just forget about when you're just flipping through. And like, table tennis isn't one of them because it's fun to watch. But like kayaking, it's incredible. These people's upper body strength is just insane from the men and the women's side. And they're out there, whatever that river out is in Paris, France, that was super contaminated, and they spent billions of dollars to clean it up, I guess. People had to swim in it. But back to Ayuk. Andrew Filipponi, as I do my hashtag squirrel there, all over the place. It's all right. It's a Thursday. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling a lot better. I wasn't feeling good on Tuesday. I had to miss the day, but I'm feeling great. Our Niners fans going to feel great if Brandon Ayuk's traded for anything less than a first-round pick. Because if you're not getting anyone in return of significance, you want a first-round pick, right? Well, here's what Andrew Filipponi had to say about the potential return for the 49ers. Andrew Filipponi, 93.7 The Fan, out in Pittsburgh, reported yesterday that Brandon Ayuk will be coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's just a matter of crossing the T's and dotting the I's. Andrew Filipponi yesterday on with Steiny and Guru.
I can just tell you the names that I've heard on the Steelers end that were discussed as a part of this deal. Those would be Dan Moore, who's been a starting left tackle, who frankly stinks for the Steelers over the last couple of years, and that's why they've drafted Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu. James Daniels, who is a pretty good guard. He played in Chicago, signed a deal that pays him around $8-9 million here, and I think they like him, but they don't love him, and that's why they drafted a guy to backfill for him, McCormick, from South Dakota State, who was a great FCS player. But they told him straight up they're not going to give him an extension. So I would guess he's in the deal. And then Calvin Austin, a very small wide receiver, but a guy that can make a big play. And we just don't know how good he is because the offense was just so poorly run and poorly coached here the last couple of years. So my guess is one of those three guys are in the deal. I don't think George Pickens is in it. I don't think Pat Freiermuth, the tight end, is in it, even though I was told that was somebody that the 49ers did have interest in when they started talking about this deal.
Now that would be intriguing. Freiermuth and Kittle combo, 2 tight end sets. Whoo! Shanahan, say what you will. A guy could scheme a tight end open. Having a guy like Pat Freiermuth would be massive. But Filipponi doesn't think it's going to be in the deal. We'll see. Again, we're still waiting. The latest report I got yesterday was Ian Rappaport on NFL Network, and here's what he had to say on the latest with the Brandon Ayuk trade talks.
If Brandon Ayuk wants to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, if he will only sign an extension there, which that hasn't specifically been conveyed to me, but he certainly does feel like that's a place that he would like to be, then that's where he's going, right? Because that's sort of where we are with players nowadays, the kind of leverage they have, the kind of power they have. If Brandon Ayuk wants to go to the Steelers, then eventually that's likely where he will be going. It's just complicated. The 49ers have to get a deal that they would like. We will see whether it is with the Steelers, whether it's picks or a player. I know if it was a couple other teams, maybe they would have gotten a receiver. Maybe that's something still in their mind. We will potentially soon find out, hopefully, God willing. Then there's the contract, which also have to be agreed to. These are not simple transactions, which is probably why for the last 3 or 4 days we've all been telling you the same thing. It's not quite done yet.
It's not quite done yet. And if it's not done yet, why not just keep Brandon Ayuk? I would. Like, hey, if you were getting the deals from the Patriots or the Browns and they were offering you the money, I'd be like, you know what, Ayuk, we're going to keep you. Hold out if you want. That's fine. We're willing to bet that you're going to eventually play for us this season. And then you can go on your way. Go somewhere else. Be happy. But we're going to keep you this year. You're going to play eventually. And we're going to bet on that. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No. Should it happen? Yes. That's what they should do. Just start playing hardball, man. Why not? What do you have to... No, seriously. If Ayuk's already made it known, he wants to get paid. He wants to stay in San Francisco. He would like to, but they're not going to offer him the money he wants. So he wants to go elsewhere. That's fine. You know, we always like to say it's not personal, it's just business. Well, this part, it is business then. And from Ayuk's angle, it's also business. So be businessmen. Tell Ayuk, yeah, we gave you some opportunities to get paid elsewhere, what you wanted. You didn't want to go there. That's fine. But Pittsburgh is not going to give us the return we want. And we're going to keep you. Oh, I'm going to hold out. Well, that's fine. You're going to be losing money left and right, and eventually you're going to come back to us. Why? Because you want to be part of greatness. And we are still one of the best teams in the NFC with or without you. And once we start racking up the wins without you, it's not going to look great for you either. So as much as this thing is dragged on and dragged on and dragged on, I'd keep him. Niner fans, are you done with Brandon Ayuk or are you with me? Hey, you know what? If the deal's not out there, just keep him. 888-957-9570. That's what I'm going to ask you. Plus, yeah, we're up against it. I'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Matt Barrows talked about this yesterday, and Matt Barrows covers the team for The Athletic, does a hell of a job. Love some Matty B. This is what he had to say in regards to the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk needing to make a decision sooner rather than later.
They're motivated to force Brandon Ayuk into making a decision. I think that they are frustrated by this whole thing. They're still not certain whether he wants to be a 49er. And here we are in mid-August, or early August, rather. It feels like mid-August. And we haven't sort of reached this basic conclusion. Ayuk has flirted with the Commanders and with the Steelers, and he apparently wants to go to Pittsburgh. So, he's also said he wants to return here. So, to me, I'm just trying to, put these tea leaves in some sort of order. This is all done to sort of force the issue, to shake something loose, and to make sure that if he does want to come back, this is happening now, and that he gets back in camp now, so that there is a bit of a runway for him to get going before the first game on September 9th.
That's another part of this. That's just, the more it drags out, the less likely he is going to look like the Brandon Ayuk of last year. Why? He's not going to be in the shape. Ask Nick Bosa how that went. Ask Deebo Samuel how that went. Ask all these guys that come back after holding out. Most of the time, it doesn't work out for the best. There's a ramp-up period. Yeah, I know we hate that term, ramping up, but it's a fact for some of these guys. They need to have those reps, and for Ayuk, he's missing valuable reps right now. Now, is he still going to be a good player when he comes out there? You'd think, but it could take some guys some time. Nick Bosa, again, he talked about it last season. Missing all that time in training camp really kind of affected his play last season. Why do you think he's been so adamant about getting, all the offseason OTAs, all the voluntary ones? He's been on every single one of them because he knows how much he messed up last year coming off a DPOY season. He set the bar high, and he didn't live up to those expectations. Can Brandon Ayuk live up to those expectations again next year after being second team All-Pro? It's tough. It's going to be even tougher if he misses training camp. All right. Quick break. Come on back. More of your calls, more of your texts. 888-957-9570. What, before you guys just keep Brandon Ayuk, just take him off the trade talks. Play hardball. What say you, Niners fans? 888-957-9570. It's the pregame show. Joe Spadoni. Roll on here on 95.7 The Game.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous?
Welcome back. One segment down, two more to go here. Joe Spadoni on the mic. Good morning to everyone. Hope you're having a lovely morning. Overnight, whatever you want to call it. I'm feeling great. And I'm feeling great because a couple things. One, first and foremost, football's right around the corner. I can smell it. And I'm excited. I'm seeing all the training camp videos. I'm getting invites to the fantasy football leagues now. The 95-7 one's starting back up. I'm excited. Fall is approaching sooner rather than later. You got the Giants fighting tooth and nail to get that third wild card spot. They're gutsy right now. Gutsy win yesterday in the nation's capital. You got the Warriors, Stephen Curry, trying to get gold with Team USA. They're taking on Serbia today. 2 more wins from that. By the way, they kind of lucked out that France took out Canada. Team USA should, I'm not going to say should, but they should cruise to winning a title. Gold, you know what I mean. They should. Will they? We'll see. It's the third time they're going to be playing Serbia now. That makes things a little trickier. Serbia knows kind of what to expect. They're not going to be starstruck. I know Jokic isn't, but it's all the other role players there. I'm a little interested to see how that one shakes out. They should win. They should. And if they don't, oh boy. I already see what name is trending, and it starts with a K. Yeah. Kerr will be trending. The amount of people even Warrior fans too. It really is something. I understand you got Stephen Curry on the team, and he is still a top 10 player in the NBA. You can't expect to compete for championships every single season. It sucks to say that. It hurts to say that. But that's the reality for the Warriors next season. No Markkanen. I don't think you're a championship contender with him. No Brandon Ingram, no Zach LaVine, no big trade, no Paul George. It's okay that next season is not going to be about a championship. And you can be mad at me for saying that. No, it's not okay. It needs to be championship or bust. Well, it can be championship or bust potentially after next season. But next year is going to set the table for what the future is of the Golden State Warriors. Next year is going to tell us a lot about what this team could look like a couple years down the road. Are they going to be a bottom feeder or are they going to be a contender? Next year is going to tell us a lot about that. And Mike Dunleavy, a lot is on his shoulders this year. They're banking on improvement from Jonathan Kuminga now, taking that leap. Brandon Podziemski taking another leap. We'll see with Moses Moody. You bring in Buddy Hield. You bring in Kyle Anderson. You bring in DeAnthony Melton. Can DeAnthony Melton, could he have a prove-it type of year like a DiVincenzo had a couple years ago? Draymond Green. What are you going to get from him? You're going to get on the court sometimes. That's good and bad. And Steph, again, what's his mindset going to be? He can sign a 1-year extension, supermax extension. I think he'll do it. I mean, it'd be foolish not to, right? If he doesn't, then that's more cause for pause. So next year is going to be very telling to the future of this team. And I can't wait. Again, a couple months away, then we're talking about basketball, then we got football already. All you hockey heads, Macklin Celebrini. I'll be going to some Shark games to check out that kid. Yeah. Take young Benjamin over there to the tank. Watch some Jaws, baby. Let's go. But first and foremost, we're still on Ayuk watch. We're waiting to see what happens there. Andrew Filipponi yesterday joined Steiny and Guru yesterday. Andrew Filipponi, 93.7 The Fan, host out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, reported yesterday that Ayuk to the Steelers is going to happen. Just a matter of, making sure all the ducks are in a row at this point. Here's Filippone on with Steiny and Goo on the Steelers and how they feel about Brandon Ayuk.
I think the Steelers clearly view Ayuk as a top 10 wide receiver. That's how they're going to pay him with this deal. They have a history. It's interesting. They covet guys who beat their brains in. If somebody plays great against the Steelers, it elevates them to world-class status. And look, I know this is not, this is an analogy that everyone's probably going to agree with, but that's frankly why Steelers defensive players for such a long time thought Tom Brady was so much better than Peyton Manning, because Brady would bash the Steelers' heads in, and they would have a lot of success against Manning. But I digress. It's what Ayuk, I think, did in that Week 1 matchup that not only opened their eyes, but cemented their feelings on him. And when they found out he could potentially be available, I think it was full throttle.
It was full throttle, and here is Filippone saying that he believes Ayuk will be a Steeler very soon.
The one thing I'll say about the way this has unfolded over the last few days is that anyone that has checked my Twitter feed on this, I've been pretty consistent on it, even when people like Adam Schefter, and I love Matt Maiocco, I think he does a great job, even when these people have said differing things, I pretty much have held firm to what I've been hearing from people back here in Pittsburgh. So unless I'm getting duped at the absolute last second and everything I've heard up until now is right, and now I'm finally getting something wrong, Brandon Ayuk is going to be a Steeler very, very, very soon.
We'll see. Andrew Filippone, that was yesterday at around 10:30 Pacific time, and it's 5:40 a.m. over here. We're still waiting for Brandon Ayuk on whether he will be Steeler, 49er, somewhere else. We'll see. We need a resolution, though. Not that I think it's going to be a dark cloud over the organization or anything like that, but I do think to have some clarity helps everyone's minds. Whether you're a teammate, whether you're a coach, whether you're Brandon Ayuk himself, just clarity is nice in life. Give me a yes, give me a no. Rip off the Band-Aid one way or the other, right? It just helps. And I think the situation, ripping off the Band-Aid, whether it's a trade or whether it's just, end up keeping them, would help. It would. All right. One more break. Come on back. 888-957-9570. I'm going to react to more of what Filippone had to say. Plus, more of your calls, more of your texts, and what Mike Tomlin had to say yesterday to the media, head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. A little interesting. Maybe he knows something that we don't. Talk about that on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, it's Bonte, and I just got back from touring River Islands in Lathrop. I was blown away actually seeing the place. When we talk about its lakes, parks, and trails, that's not quite telling you the whole story. There are 15 lakes in place and a dozen parks with playgrounds, sports fields, and picnic areas.
And you're listening to the pregame show on 95.7 The Game.
Deal with him. There's a scenario for everything, so I don't want to rule anything out.
There's a scenario for everything, Kyle Shanahan. This is Kyle Shanahan responding to Mike Silver at the San Francisco Chronicle the other day on if there, any chance Ayuk signs an extension in San Francisco. We're on Ayuk watch still here, 95.7 The Game. We got one more segment of the pregame show, Joe Spadoni, before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky. They got a lot of guests today. They got Herm Edwards coming on. Don't press sand. They got Dave Fleming, 720. They got a lot of guys coming on here talking Giants. Again, I don't want to hear the dog days of August when it comes to sports talk. No, we got Giants fighting for their lives to get to the playoffs. They fighting for Farhan. We've got the Warriors at a crossroads potentially in their future coming up this season. We've got the Olympics happening. We've got water polo going on. All right. Missed that Speedo tan. That was the best part about water polo back in high school. Playing outside. Got to get that tan. I'm sure all of you really care about that. And then we got the 49ers. We got football. We got college football. We got everything coming up. Oh, God. This is what we live for. When we want to get to football, but before we get to that part, we have to do all these transactional stuff. And this Ayuk thing is the last little domino, it feels like, before we start playing some actual football. Now, is it going to happen before the first preseason game? We'll see. I'm sure the Niners would like that. I'm sure Ayuk would like that. But they're in no rush, it seems like. Ayuk doesn't feel like he's in a rush. Doesn't feel like 49ers are in a rush to get anything done. So we're just kind of just waiting. We're waiting. And the more I think about this, and we were talking about it off air, Shasky and Lubman and I, the dynamic between Kyle Shanahan and Brandon Ayuk, what is their relationship? What do we know about it? We know it didn't start off great. We know, according to reports, that he was in the doghouse with Kyle. He worked his way out, earned his respect, earned his everything. Second team All-Pro last year. And gave him a bro hug the other day, whatever that means. If you want to look too into it, I don't think you show physical touch to someone that you hate, usually. A handshake with anything but a bro hug. I don't think there's any animosity there now. But do I believe that Kyle Shanahan believes that he needs Brandon Ayuk in this offense to win a Super Bowl next year? No. I think he felt that way about Deebo Samuel. I think he felt that way about Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and he will feel that way about Trent Williams. But about Brandon Ayuk, I don't think he thinks that he needs him. He would like to have him, and he's saying all the right things to the media, but deep down, he's okay with moving off of him. But at the same time, he's going to keep him if he doesn't feel like he's getting proper return on investment. You invested a first-round pick in him, and if I'm not getting a player of equal or slightly lesser value like an Amari Cooper back, I want a first-rounder. Not a second and fifth, which is some are saying could be a possibility. Not a horrible left tackle. No. Give me a first-rounder. That's what I invested in him. That's what I want back, at the very least. I don't think they're going to get that from the Steelers. And so, if you don't, just keep him. If you're Kyle Shanahan. Here's Shanahan the other day talking about, could it hurt the team if Ayuk stays in San Francisco but is unhappy?
Is it potentially detrimental to the team to keep Ayuk here if he's unhappy and doesn't have an extension?
I mean, everything can be. I mean, totally. We're trying to figure out what the situations are. They're always moving. I don't know what the best one will be. But yeah, there's pluses and minuses to every situation.
Pluses and minuses with every situation. How's it going to affect the locker room? I mean, if you have a guy like Trent Williams still holding out too, and he pulls a Chris Jones, he's not there week one. You lose to the Jets. What then? Then it becomes a dark cloud. Going back to Draymond Green and the Golden State Warriors, using that terminology. Then it becomes a dark cloud. Then it starts turning into a storm, and then it's just you got a couple losses, and then it's just like, oh my God. Here we go. And maybe Robin St. Bruno was right all along.
The downfall is near, and it's coming hard.
And I'm not saying it's like that right now. Again, it's August 8th. This team, Brock Purdy was an MVP candidate last year. They have Kittle, they have Debo, they have McCaffrey, who has a calf strain. McCaff strained. Give myself a 2 for that. No Trent Williams, but you know what? They've mixed and matched the offensive line before. They can do it again. With or without Trent Williams. You would like to have him. He's one of the best at his position all time. Still the best in the NFL. But if you don't, it's not the end of the world. If you're in the AFC, it might have been, but you're in the NFC. And you are still in your own class in this conference, alongside the Lions, alongside, if you want to put the Eagles there. By the way, do you see what the Eagles? Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, trouble in paradise? Who could have seen this coming? Coach's day, a head coach in Philadelphia, his days are numbered, I should say. Tale as old as time. And yeah, they brought in Vic Fangio, former head coach, and Kellen Moore, a guy who's interviewed for head coaches, positions, I should say, in the past. He's dead man walking. I don't think Sirianni lasts through the end of the season. I'm gonna go ahead and lock that in. Sirianni's a goner after this season, or during it, to be honest. Thank you. All right. More from Matty Barrows, who again joined Willard and Dibbs yesterday, covers the team for The Athletic. What about this Ayuk situation is annoying Kyle Shanahan the most?
There were a couple instances where Brandon Ayuk is out there. He's watching from the sideline, and John Lynch kind of walks over and either kind of takes him to the spot where John watches practice, or in one instance, I watched this, he kind of takes him all the way back into the team headquarters. So, I mean, I guess that could be a sense that they'd rather have him out of sight when he's around. The other part of it is that there's this ridiculous notion that he arrived with a neck and a back issue, and that's why he's not practicing, not because of any contract. That's officially why he's not practicing. So maybe that's what's annoying Shanahan, that if you're here, if you're healthy, if we're dealing with all sorts of real injuries at wide receiver, and they are, you ought to be back out here. You're under contract. You should be practicing with your team.
Yeah, but he's not going to, because this is what they do. This is part of the negotiation tactic. This is what it has turned into. I'm not going to go out there and practice and rupture my Achilles. Then I'm done. Squandered lifetime contract. It's going to last me forever and my kids. I'm not going to do that. I don't blame Ayuk. But I also understand, again, I feel like Humpty Dumpty. I feel like Steiny here. I'm sitting on the fence. I can see both sides here. I could also understand the frustration of seeing a guy not doing anything and just hanging out and not helping. We've all done work events and stuff like that, or school, where it's just like everyone's all working and you just see one guy who should be working, but he's not, and he's just hanging out and just shooting the breeze with, little Sally Lou over there. Like, what are you doing, dude? Come help. Come be a part of this. You were here last year. What's going on? You're under contract. Just where we're at when it comes to negotiations with our athletes. More from Matt Barrows here. Asked if it's most likely Ayuk stays a 49er.
Let me phrase it this way. I think that's still the outcome that the 49ers want. It's up to Brandon Ayuk to decide whether he wants that or not. I mean, I don't know what the trade package is that Pittsburgh is offering right now, but I do know that the 49ers prefer to have a wide receiver as part of that trade package. And you look up and down the Steelers roster, and there are not a lot of desirable wide receivers. This is why the Steelers would be interested in this scenario. There is reason for the 49ers to say no to this. But, another reason is to keep Brandon Ayuk. I mean, if Washington and Pittsburgh are the two places that he wants to go, and Washington's not interested in the contract, and Pittsburgh doesn't have the ammunition to work out a deal, the 49ers are basically telling Brandon Ayuk, okay, it's time to go to your third option, which presumably is the 49ers.
So maybe, just maybe, Ayuk stays in San Francisco. And I think that would be the best case scenario for this season. Again, I'm just worried about this season for the 49ers, if I'm a Niner fan. Brock Purdy is going to get paid next season. He's going to get paid $300 million. Just wrap your heads around that. He's going to get paid $300 million. And when that happens, there's going to be some hard truths around the roster. Fan favorites are going to get cut. And you're going to be like, what are we doing? Oh, this is what it's like having a top quarterback, paying a top quarterback in the league. We're no longer in fantasy land. And if this season you win it all, it doesn't matter. Everything doesn't matter. You can go, it doesn't matter. But if it doesn't, if you go out this year and it's not a great season, you're one and done in the playoffs, hell, you missed the playoffs, then yeah, we could look back at the Niners squandering an opportunity potentially early on in free agency, not being aggressive and going at Ayuk and his camp and saying, here's the terms, here's this, let's do this, let's sign on the dotted line, let's set the tone for free agency for wide receivers. Instead, dragged their feet. Parag Marathe, their capologist, who does all these contracts, who's a big part of everything. And he's just like, we'll see. We'll see how things play out. Here's Tim Kawakami on Parag's negotiating tactics.
Everything I hear from NFL people is the guy who negotiates these deals is Parag Marathe. That's the guy. And Jed York is on top of that. And John comes in and does some other things. I think he was heavily involved with Bosa. But guess what? Bosa won that deal. Parag Marathe might not have loved that too much. Again, that's my speculation, but I think John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan make their views known. They are the number one people in football operations, but they don't control the purse strings. And I think it's Parag Marathe doing this negotiation. Again, do you talk to any agent who deals with the 49ers? They talk about general conversations with John Lynch and they talk to the negotiations with Parag Marathe. So not trying to underline anybody's fault here, but every agent I've talked to said the person that I'm negotiating with and who is a pain in the ass, but you're respected, but he is a pain in the ass, is Parag Marathe. Wow. Whether John and Kyle, at the end can come in, I don't know. I think they certainly did that with Bosa. But again, I don't think 49ers like that Bosa deal. I think they hate that Bosa deal. They realized they had to do it, but Bosa beat them, period. They just haven't had one like that where they've been beaten by somebody like they were beaten by Bosa. I don't think they want that to happen with Ayuk.
All right. Bonte and Shasky taking over next. They're on Ayuk Watch. 95.7 The Game is on Ayuk Watch, and they got Dave Fleming coming up at 7:20 to talk about the Giants, their series. 3.5 back of the wild card, plus Herm Edwards, who coached Ricky Pearsall, coached Brandon Ayuk, knows a little thing or two about coaching in the NFL as well in these negotiations. He'll be on the show as well. It's all coming up next on the Morning Roast. Have a good day, everybody.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube.